Hey, y'all, salute to people. Social forecast. Um, I'm up to address the comments. It's been a minute since I've done one of these. Some of the comments I've been getting on a recent video of mine really is just, I don't know. It's disappointing to say the least. So a few weeks back, right, for everybody who follows this channel, and if you're new to this channel, I invite you to stay a while. So like, comment, and subscribe because love it or hate it, the shit that I discuss and talk about on this platform, whether you like it, agree with it, disagree with it, whatever you feel about it, it's real shit. So I have to discuss it because it's not enough platforms that discuss these types of issues in a real way, not in a jokey way, not in a condescending or um, sarcastic way, but in a real way. Because there's some issues out here, especially as it pertains to um, uh, the female versus the male gender. There's some issues out here that have been allowed to fly for far too long, and it's really time that we really start to address some of these issues in a real way. So a few weeks back, I did a video on a young woman by the name of Jasmine Eiland, who was allegedly sexually assaulted in a nightclub that went viral because it was recorded on a Facebook Live stream from her phone. And then I did a video about a week after the incident happened. After I saw a video of some other individuals, women, mind you, who also reported that they were there and that they knew both of these individuals and that they were there from the beginning of the situation till the end, and have reported themselves like, look, what y'all think happened is not what happened. So I did a video talking about it, and basically, it was like a cautionary blog to all of my fellow men out there, basically saying, listen, it's open season on men out here. It's a lot of situations that a lot of men are finding themselves in that men just need to be more careful about, and men just need to move a little bit differently. And I got a comment from an individual by the name of James Harris, right? For those of you who aren't familiar with the series addressing the comments, basically, I welcome all comments on this platform. I welcome all discussions, all debates about anything. It's not about a win or lose an argument. It's about discussing in an honest and open way whatever issue I bring to this platform. And if you feel like you have a difference of opinion, I welcome the comments and I actively engage in my comments. It's not like some channels where they say get in the comment box, people comment, but then they never actually engage with those listeners or those viewers or those commenters. No, I'm actually going to address you. I'm actually going to engage with you. It's not a disrespect thing. It's not an argument thing, because I appreciate all the comments I get on any of my blogs, any of my videos. And I appreciate it because nobody has to take the time to watch my videos, listen to what I have to say, let alone comment on any of my videos. So I will always, always, always address anybody who takes the time out of their day, whether it's 2 minutes or 20 minutes, to, you know, speak on anything that I have to say. That's how confident I am and how real I am with this platform. Because if you watch the about this channel video, you read the basically the mission statement of this video in the about section of this channel. Um, it's about bringing us to the table, right? So, having said all of that, because usually this is where I would input or insert some kind of a disclaimer, because in 2019, in the middle of a women, feminist Me Too movement, women's empowerment, all of that shit, I respect it. I got no issues with it. What I have an issue with are the women who are liars, the women who make decisions, the women who ha- just express themselves through their inhibitions, and then the next morning when they wake up and they regret those inhibitions. The next morning, when they sober up and they're hit with a dose of reality and they are treated and looked at crazy, and then they're now embarrassed because of the decisions they made, then want to change their mind and say, well, that's not what happened. I was taken advantage of, or I was attacked, or I was raped, or what have you. And half the men out here, this is what pisses me off too, because men don't stick together the way women do, and we don't stick together and stand up for each other the way that the LGBTQ community does. And that shit needs to stop because so many people are afraid on their platforms to speak on these things. But I will never be afraid to speak on shit that doesn't look right. Now, the real women out there who understand that this is not an indictment on women. This is not an indictment on women or people who are victimized by individuals, because sexual assault, rape, these are heinous crimes. You don't have to be a street dude to know that if you're convicted of rape and you go to prison, even amongst the most violent and hardened criminals, they don't respect that type of shit and they're going to see about you. But lately, if recent uh, situations that have come out have not proven that women are opportunists, women are liars, certain women turn situations into something else for their benefit or to escape consequences for their actions for whatever reason or whatever social circles or relationships they might be in, where they have that oh shit moment and now they don't want to face the consequences of whatever it was that they did. And then we still put those women on a pedestal. We still automatically will say, oh, well, if this person's accusing this man of something, he must have done it, right? We got to stop doing that. We have to. We have to, because too many, even if it's 10 innocent men being falsely accused, these types of things turn lives upside down. We've seen this with the recent situation with Chris Brown. And now, even after we all know that he was falsely accused of raping someone, right? Well, now he's getting backlash because he has a t-shirt that says this bitch is lying. Y'all got to make up your minds. You can't have it both ways. If you could turn the lives of individuals upside down with an allegation as harsh and as heinous and as serious as rape or sexual assault, and then those allegations turn out to be false, then your life should be turned upside down. And nothing that comes from that man in the way of a response, no matter how mature, no matter how ill-advised you might think it is, that response is still warranted. People have a right to be upset when they are accused of something that could essentially end their career, cost them their job, cost them their livelihood, cost them their families in some cases, and even cost them their freedom in worst case scenarios. And it has happened and it will continue to happen for all of the women who are legitimately victimized. There are far too many who take advantage of a situation for whatever reason. I don't know what their issues are. I don't know why they choose to do it, but I have personally seen these types of things happen. I have personally known women who will make decisions, and then when they're called to task on those decisions or asked to stand up and be accounted for making those decisions, all of a sudden the narrative changes. And we got to stop doing that. And we have to stop allowing that shit to happen because it's not okay. It's not okay at all. So, after this video that I did, I got a comment from an individual named James Harris. I'm going to read his comment. Basically, in the video, I was basically running down what the accusation was. I was running down what the other video that I saw about a woman who was also in the club that night and said, look, this is not what was going down. This is ABC, what was happening. And, y'all got that shit wrong based on what y'all saw in the video. This man was not taking advantage of this girl, not from the time that I seen them. And I was there the whole night. Um, and so this individual, James Harris, this is his comment. Quote, it says, brother, it's not hard. I am older than you. First of all, let me pause right there. I welcome all comments. But at 35, one thing is clear to me in life. And never address me in any comment by starting that comment off by saying I am older than you. I don't care how old you are. Your age has no significance on a situation like this that we're speaking of. This is not the 1960s. It's not the 70s. The days of men being held accountable for the decisions of women in an age where women want to be equal and treated as equal, those days are over. Look, if you want to be equal, you want to have equal rights, privileges, you want to have the career, you want to be empowered, you want to be in positions of power and have, the career, the family, and have it all. Great. I salute that. I respect that. But there's another side to that pillow. There's another side to that coin. Because with equal privilege, with equal rights, with equal respect, with equal all the things that women want that are equal, that are great, with that also has to come equal accountability. There is no, you cannot split hairs and have it both ways. You can't be the same women who say we can do anything a man can do. We should be treated like men. We should be, all of these things. But then when it's time to be held accountable for the choices that they make, they want to curdle back into the 50s and say, but we're women, but we're dainty women, and we're not as strong, and we're not this, and we're not that. You can't be as strong as men, strong enough mentally, physically to be able to do whatever it is that men can do and what I guess used to be looked at as a man's world, but then say, but at the same time, you guys are men, so you can't do this and you can't do that, and we're not doing that. We can't do that. If we're gonna be equal, then I need to be able to I need to be able to give the same kind of tough love to my sisters, my women, as y'all would want me to give to my men, my fellow men. I have to. So don't ever start a comment off addressing me by saying you're older, because it doesn't mean anything. All age does is measure the amount of time you've been on this earth. It says nothing about experience. It says nothing about true wisdom. It says nothing about uh, perception. It says nothing about um, intellect. It says nothing about none of those things. Just means that you've been here longer. That's all it means. It's 2019. It's a whole new day. Um, so it says I'm older than you. It says if you keep alcohol and drugs out of it, it's always. This don't even make any sense. Hold on. It says it's not hard. I'm older than you. If you keep alcohol and drugs out of it, it's always she was drunk or drugged up. That leads to someone being accused. I can't understand why any man would want to have sex with someone drunk or drugged up. You all can be in denial, but his intentions the whole night was to get her drunk so he could take advantage of her. That's embarrassing to be with someone who can't stand up. Um, he says she fell down 3 times. Um, so have some pride. You all talk about how she was dressed. I wouldn't be seen with someone not dressed properly. Um, she embarrassed herself. She put herself. Uh, she needs some serious help. But he 100 took advantage of her. It's up to the law, but men should learn to stop doing this. Getting women drunk. If I can't get it when she's sober, she can keep it. Okay. All right. As I try to process that mess of a comment, um, a few things that stand out to me. Again, this old school way of thinking. So, an individual, if that individual is a man, is wrong if he chooses to engage with a woman who's drunk, even if she is willingly engaged with him. Now, again, this is what I'm talking about, the double standard. You can't hold that man accountable for the decisions that that woman made. I don't care if he was buying her drinks. I don't care if his intention was to get her drunk. If she made the decision to drink those drinks, if she made the decision to, as a person who did a video who was there, put it, have her hand down his pants, be touching and rubbing and massaging on him. How do you call him touching her assault? Assault isn't because it's a man touching a woman. Assault is assault. So if you're going to say that he committed assault, then you have to say that she committed assault as well. See, that we got to stop blaming men for the decisions that women choose to make. Now, this is I'm what I'm talking about is not someone who's raped. No one was blaming how someone was dressed and saying, she was the way she was dressed and she didn't have underwear on and she didn't have this on and she was in a twerking contest, so she deserved what happened to her. No, what's being said is that nothing happened, not what this woman is trying to say happened. That's what was being said. That was the point. The point was, and the reason why the person in the video was describing what was happening, what the girl was doing, how she was acting, what she was wearing, the fact that she was falling over. The reason why the person was doing that was just drawing home the point that, listen, this was not no damsel in distress type of situation where this woman was like, no, get away from me and fighting this dude off of her. This is eyes in the club. So when someone is speaking on that type of situation, all of your points are then invalidated by those eyeball witnesses at that scene of whatever the incident was. So if you take the rape allegation or the sexual assault allegation out of it, your sentiment is that even if they had consensual sex, because she was drunk, because she was clearly drunk, he was wrong and he was taking advantage of her. Okay. People make bad decisions all the time. I wouldn't personally want to have sex with a stranger who's that drunk, but two people make a decision. Two people who engage in certain actions are to be held accountable for those actions if they later regret those actions. But just because you regret an action or a decision does not mean you can then turn around and vilify that person who you chose to engage in that action with. You can't. We can't vilify and criminalize someone and want their life to be turned upside down just because you think that a young man didn't carry himself the way that a man should or the way that you would. It's two different things. There are youthful indiscretions, there are bad choices, but then there are criminal things that happen, like criminal acts. And what is being said here, or what is being defended, is the fact that this man did not commit a criminal act. So for you to say, if I can't get it when she's sober, then she can keep it, that's cool. That's a good mindset to have, especially in 2019, where a woman can get drunk, willingly have sex with someone, be cheating on her husband or boyfriend, and then the next morning when he finds out, he raped me. And now, whoever that man was, his life could be turned upside down because now he has to fight a rape charge. Now he has to fight an allegation that he knows he's not guilty of. But because this woman woke up and regretted what she did, or because she was caught doing whatever she did and didn't want the truth to come out and wanted to save face, now it's a whole situation. Now you have a whole internet full of people, millions of people calling for this dude's head. And anything can look away in any video. Even, certain situations when you're there in person can look away. When you remove the context from those situations and you don't know what's happening behind the scenes, it's easy to say something looks like something. So then basically that was what I responded with. And so my comment was, and I'll read my comment, which is a lot more grammatically in tune, which is another pet peeve of mine. If you're going to comment, if you're going to come at me in a comment, if you're going to disagree, that's cool. I welcome it. Just respect it. Salute. But have it make sense, because if I can't read it and I can't clearly understand what you're saying, it's hard for me to rebuttal. It's hard for me to come back with a point of my own if I'm spending all my energy basically trying to decipher whatever it was that you said. So my response was, and I feel this way wholeheartedly, and I'm keeping it so real in this blog, so I apologize if you're the type of person who can't handle real talk. Then I mean, you can exit stage left, but this platform is just about what's real, and I have to always, in keeping with the nature of this platform and all of my platforms, I have to keep it real. So if we're going to go back and forth, we could do that. If you're going to disagree, if you're going to have points or have a premise that you want to stand on, cool. I welcome it. Shit. You can hit me up at straight talk 315 at Gmail, and you can get on a stream with me and we can debate it in front of everybody. Because again, it's us coming to the table, it's having a conversation, is what this platform is for. So my response was, I can't give these women a pass. The woman who was there the whole night and who knows this woman personally said she had her hands in his pants and everything. This isn't about you being older. It's about women wanting wanting equality, but then wanting men to be more accountable in situations that they play just as much a part in. The people who witnessed the interaction put equal interest from both parties into each other that night. We are all adults. Someone buying a drink for a woman isn't the end all be all if that woman chooses to toss those drinks back. It can't be both ways. Either women can think for themselves and deserve equality, or they don't. It's 2019. Men are not responsible to think for these women. I have all the empathy in the world for women who are truly um, attacked and raped. I have no sympathy for women who play the victim when they wake up the next morning and realize they embarrassed themselves. Plus, what was iterated throughout the blog was the fact that witnesses say they were not having sex in the video. There was no sexual intercourse, so this man should not be vilified. You're right. He should have seen that she needed mental help at that point. Call it youthful ignorance, but I'm 35. So I wouldn't be in a situation like this. Respectfully, I appreciate your comment, but I can't give an out to a woman whose story is questionable, especially when other witnesses in the club say they saw something that differs from what is being portrayed after the fact. He replied and said, if a man is touching a female's private area, he has committed sexual assault. You can't tell me that she wasn't sexually assaulted. Whether he penetrated her or not, he's guilty of assault. If a man sees a female drunk, call security or just walk away. It's not that hard. So now he's saying that if you're touching a woman, that's assault. Well, yeah, it's assault if you touch anybody if they don't want you to touch them. But again, based on the interactions between both of these individuals, as was reported, not by me, because I was not there, but that as was reported by other people who were in the club, they were both equally touching on, rubbing on, massaging on each other. So, again, like I said, if we're going to hold one person accountable for their actions, we have to hold both parties accountable for their actions. We have to. I mean, what is this new crazy ass world that we live in where if you're a man, you're going to be held accountable for actions that you take that are the same, the exact same as the actions of a woman just because you're a man. We can't do that. We got to stop doing that. It's like it's just like the narrative that if a woman puts their hands on a man, that man should never put their hands back on a woman because they're a man and they should walk away because they're stronger and da 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 da. They should exercise greater restraint and blah blah blah. Now, I would agree 100%. I would have no issue with the people who tell that narrative. Except Bow Wow is circulating all around the internet and being clowned by the same men and women who say a man should never put his hands on a woman. But y'all are clowning Bow Wow because his girl put hands, feet, claws, and whatever else on him. You can't have it both ways. You can't say a man should be more responsible and exercise greater restraint when a woman is emotional and when a woman uh, disintegrates a situation and escalates a situation to the point of physicality and say that man should walk away. That man should not touch her. That man should not do anything to retaliate against that woman. But then when that man comes out of that situation bruised up, marked up, bleeding, and whatever else, Now y'all want to clown him. You can't have it both ways. It's either that man is going to exercise great restraint and you're going to respect it because he did that, or you're going to clown him. But if you're going to clown him, you know what message that sends? That sends the message that, look, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So at the very least, defend yourself if somebody's attacking you. And now everybody's saying, well, hold on, because there's a video with them in the elevator before the shit popped off and Bow Wow was acting real crazy and trying to snatch the keys and he was yelling and screaming. Look, if we did that shit to a woman and we said, yo, this woman called her man cheating, he lived with her, she wanted to get her keys back, I don't care how crazy she was acting, if she didn't touch him, he had no right to hit her. Y'all don't think that shit works both ways? So you saying to me that because Bow Wow, who had caught his girl being all types of reckless, right, in a club with another man, we all know who it was. Don't care who it was. It could have been Joe Schmo from the back of a garbage truck. And he decided, I want my keys back. He's justified to be upset. Now, if that woman did not want to give the keys back to him or wanted to get emotional or escalate the situation, however long it took, or however many times he yelled in her face or called her whatever name he may have called her, these are all justifiable things. And if a woman did it, y'all would say, well, look what he did to provoke her. That still don't give him the right to put his hands on her. Yeah, and vice versa. It does not give her the right to put her hands on him just because he was trying to get his keys back. No, yeah, technically, depending on what state you're in, even you snatching keys out of someone's hand, even if those keys belong to your apartment or your home, technically, forcibly removing any object from a person's hands can be considered assault. Fine, great. But we saw what we saw. We saw the pictures. We saw the bruises and the markings on Bow Wow's face. We didn't see anything or hear anything about any bruises or damage to the other person. I don't know that there wasn't any. I'm just saying what we saw and what's going around. But yet, when it's a woman, everyone shows empathy for that woman, and everyone comes to the aid of that woman. But when it's a man who is victimized in any way, shape, or form, we either try to find a way to clown him, or we try to find a way to invalidate his manhood. And all I'm saying is that if we're gonna be away, if we're gonna look at these situations in a certain light, then it needs to be fair on both sides. That's all I'm saying. I'm no longer comfortable with vilifying and criminalizing men just because of an accusation. You look at the Chris Brown situation. You look at the situation with this young woman and this young man in the club. You look at countless other situations that have happened and that will continue to happen. We can no longer, just based off of the accusations of a person, especially a woman who might be emotional or who might be in a vulnerable state because she's upset or whatever the case. We have to stop jumping to judgment at the accusation. At least give these people their day in court. And then when a situation like a Chris Brown situation plays out, and you say, okay, he clearly didn't do what he was originally accused of doing. Charges are dropped. Let's leave him the fuck alone. No. Yes, you still will have far too many people who will look at it like, well, the charges were dropped, but he had to do something, or else why would he have been accused? Get out of that mindset. Women are not these gentle and super trustworthy creatures that they are painted to be or portrayed to be. They're not. There are some evil, vindictive, opportunistic women out here, and they have to be held accountable. If the law won't do it, then the same court of public opinion who had countless number of people convicted way before they ever saw their day in court, the same court of public opinion needs to come down just as hard in the interest of justice against these women who report these false accusations. If the law is not going to punish and penalize these women, at the very least, socially, they should be held responsible for what they do, especially when what they do has the potential to tear somebody's life apart. I cannot condone comments like this. We are not going to continue the same cookie cutter narrative that, men are held to this standard and women are not. We're not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm an equal opportunity. What you give, you get. And if you give something and then that something comes back around to you, you cannot cry for help. I say it all the time. If I'm walking down the street, I walk past somebody and they decide to, for no reason, just because they're having a bad day, punch me on my face. If I pull out a gun and shoot that person, you can tell me all day that my reaction was over the top. You can tell me all day that my reaction to that situation was not reasonable to what the provocation was. And my response to you would be, that's great. But when you do something to someone, whatever that something is, that person has a right to respond. And however that person chooses to respond and or react, they are justified. Because if you take away the provocation, the result, the effect of the cause would never have happened. It's cause and effect. But why do y'all not want to see it that way? I don't understand it. Now, luckily, there are some women out here who are starting to see the ways of these women, and they're coming down just as hard as us men who do it. And I salute to those women. Finally, there are women who are starting to be held to task for being, you know, no good women and accusing men of shit that they didn't do. There are finally women being held to task for being uh, unfit mothers, deadbeat mothers, because they're out here, and all of the different things that women fall short at that we don't want to talk about because we're so afraid to talk about. We're so afraid to offend the that gender group. No, fuck out of here. And to half of the men who are afraid to speak truth to power on these things, and who are afraid to say this shit don't pass the smell test, fuck out of here. For on behalf of those men, and on behalf of the men who are wrongly accused of shit and don't have a voice, on behalf of all of those men, all 2019, I'm gonna say fuck out of here if shit don't smell right. And again, if y'all want to engage with me, y'all want to come on and talk to me about the situation, I'm down. Whatever the situation is, shoot me an email, straight talk 315 at Gmail, or shoot me an inbox on on Twitter, Instagram, DM me, whatever it is. All of the links to all of my share are all over my page. I'm not hard to reach. And if you hit me up and say, yo, I'm interested in doing a stream, I want to talk about XYZ, I will pull up. And when I pull up, just understand and I need you to be ready. And if that's not the route you want to take, cool. If you choose to just, you know, deal with me in the comments, understand that I will address it. Um, I will 100% address it. And when I do address it, don't be offended because you open the door to me addressing your comment or comments when you choose to get into my comment section, right? Like it's fair trade. It's a free trade. It's a free trade market over here. It's an equal opportunity. Whoever wants it can get it. But let's be smart about it at least. Let's be logical. You cannot blame this man for a situation if the person who he was engaging with in that situation was all for it in the moment. But after the fact, because they regret, we're not doing that. We got to stop doing that. Anyway, that's all I stopped through to speak on. Actually, before I head out, I do want to salute one person also. Because just like you get, the negative comments, you also get the people who understand and the people who really see it for what it is. You get comments from those people too. So, individual by the name of Tamika Henderson commented and said, "Nice job, bro. I don't condone their actions, but girlfriend left the house with no undies or bra with intentions and kept asking him to pull down her dress as if she wanted him to know or providing an invitation." Um and then she says in a separate comment after I responded, yeah, that's crazy, sis. I just feel like it's an insult to the women who really do get attacked. And then she responded and said, when keeping it real goes wrong. And that's 100% true. When keeping it real goes wrong. Look, if I'm gonna lose subscribers, you lose views. If I'm gonna offend people with my honesty, because my honesty isn't always politically in line with the current times, I'm cool with that. We all got to take a loss on the battlefield at some point. I'm cool with that. Because what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to continue to sit by and watch men who, even those who make bad choices, and women, or those who make bad choices just in life, generally speaking. There's a difference between making a bad choice and being a criminal. And I'm not okay with criminalizing every fucking man just because a woman said that they did something. If you could prove it, if you could validate it, cool. Because it's about receipts, 2019. It's not about what you know, it's about what you can prove. That's always been the case. And that's how the criminal justice system works. If you can prove and back up your allegations and what you're saying, then 100% hold whoever is guilty of a heinous crime like sexual assault, rape, battery, whatever, anybody who's guilty of that needs to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law and held accountable for what they did. But we have to allow those people their day in court and wait for the outcome. Because the outcome is appropriate more often than it's not. Although one person being convicted who's innocent and sent to prison is far too many. And that's why this platform is here, among other reasons. So if you made it to the end of this video, I salute you. Clearly, you are the type of like-minded individual who understands that these difficult discussions and conversations have to happen if there's ever going to be any true change. So, if you're still here, like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you can receive notifications on all future content. And basically, this is what I do. Stick around for it or hit the fucking bricks. I'm from Jersey. I got no issue one way or the other. If you follow my content, you think I talk a lot of shit, you're 100% correct. I talk a lot of shit because I'm passionate about the shit that I talk about. If you follow my content and you think I'm overly opinionated, well, you're 100% correct again. We all have opinions. The difference is I try to use my opinions to affect positive change. At the end of the day, I'm just a realist who sees shit for what it is and who tries to approach every situation in a commonsensical way. My logic is undeniable. And that logic is that there are few things that separate us: oceans, borders, and culture. Outside of those few things, we are all just a part of one human race trying to find the best way to carve out a life for ourselves and the people we care about. I don't pretend to know everything. I just know what I know. Like, comment, and subscribe. Social Forecast. Peace and love.